DJ, PK, it is time now to talk with Tim LaComb. Are you a business owner? You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. Let Spherion Staffing and Recruiting do it. Visit Spherion online at spherion.com/Utah. That's SPHERION.com/Utah. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Tim, it is that time. We need all of the college basketball genius you have built up over the years, all that college basketball acumen. People are filling out brackets. You got anything they can lock in, even just get a team to the Sweet 16. Or, hey, stay away from this. I know they got a great seed, but this team is going to flame out early. Anything you have, the people who are guessing at the brackets right now, and that is really what we all do. You can't know this stuff. But when you're guessing at your brackets, you got something to give them a little edge.
Yeah, what I have found over time is I think the least amount of information you know that is probably better. Typically, it's the person who picks by color of uniform and or mascot that seems to thrive this time of year. And I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to go back very far. Last year, to a ton of upsets when you have San Diego State and Florida Atlantic in the Final Four. It was just crazy. So I don't know, man. As I filled this thing out, I looked at all those names and thought, I can make these picks, but whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I can tell you to avoid Virginia like the plague.
Good call.
Thanks, Coach.
I think that their style of play, let's just say it's antiquated. And I think that one is probably on the top of everybody's mind because it wasn't just the committee that, pulled them out of nowhere. Every single bracketologist I ever looked at, Virginia was nowhere near the tournament. And so I think the committee got off to a great start last night, showing everybody that, in fact, they did have no idea what they were doing.
I'm wondering what it's like to be a coach right now. We're on the precipice of this thing starting. And for so many, everybody has big dreams. Some dreams are very, win a game, get to Sweet 16, get to Final Four, wherever you are on the totem pole, so to speak. What were your and your coaching staffs that you were involved in emotions as you get ready to play?
Well, it's funny because every time Selection Sunday rolls around, you kind of relive that time. And I just remember it being a blur most years. And particularly was chuckling last night via text with a couple of former colleagues at BYU, remembering one of the last when we beat Iona that year and we went to Louisville. We literally, a couple of us rented a car to get over there earlier and drove there. But so much of the tournament, for the people in it, and coaches particularly, it's a blur because you get those seedings on Sunday, at the very earliest. You could play Tuesday, which we saw last night in the first four. But it's just a quick turnaround, and you're trying to learn everything you can about a team you're going to play. You spend a lot of time on the phone talking to other coaches in their league to try to get some intel, watching a ton of tape, obviously, and then preparing your guys. And preparing your guys is a little more than just X's and O's. It's a pretty big deal. When the charter flight, big plane shows up to pick you up most of the time, and they fly you back, and everywhere you go, you're getting police escorts to and from. I mean, it's a pretty special time. And so I think it's the teams that, A, are really talented, and then B, who really lock into the experience, not get sidetracked by all the fanfare, and just try to go make it as normal as possible. And I think that is what every coach is probably involved with about now. I'm excited because a bunch of my buddies are in Salt Lake as I sat and watched the bracket. So, you've got that too. You've got a bunch of you got social things. And so it's a big week, but as special an experience, honestly, in coaching as you can have. Walking down that last time walking down from your locker room out to the floor, seeing the blue carpet, that the NCAA is known for, and going out there and knowing that you're one of 64 teams that everybody's celebrating in March.
I love a good conspiracy theory. I try not to go off the deep end, but I can't help myself. Kansas, did they know McCullers was out the whole time and they didn't want to announce it because they didn't want the selection committee to drop him down a couple lines? Or, hey, the things just happen the way they happen, and now Samford has a chance to pull an upset, or a better chance to pull an upset.
Yeah, I would think that there was some information withheld. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line here, and you win one round, and your league gets upwards of $2 million. So you're talking about big money, and I will just say it this time. I will say it this way: it's not the first time that Kansas has, I don't know, usurped a rule or two to have success on the basketball court, or to have success, in the basketball arena, which is, getting into the tournament, getting that bid, getting that seed. But I would have to think, he hasn't practiced in 6 weeks, according to Bill Self, and I would have to think they knew pretty well. Not sure, what was disclosed, was not disclosed, but I imagine there was probably some games being played.
BYU's had a great season so far, very surprising, good for them. But I think to label it as something you want to remember, I think they got to get this win here against Duquesne. Obviously they're seeded to get it. I think they will get it, so it won't be that big of a deal. But in terms of pressure, they haven't won a game in a big, long while. I don't think Pope has won a game. How much do you think they can feel that and use that to a positive, not a negative?
So I think it can be a special year with or without the win. They made a huge jump from the WCC to the Big 12, and I think that it would probably be unfair because I think everybody had them just absolutely getting their head kicked in this year, and they didn't. They finished really well, and they beat Iowa State, who's a 2. They beat Kansas, who's a 4. They had a really magical year. But that being said, I do understand because I lived it a lot. I mean, I think BYU, when I got to BYU in 2007, the last win by the Cougs was early 90s or late 80s.
93,
one of the two.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. 93, there you go. So it was 93 to 2000, and I think we won a game in 9-10.
Right.
So, that was a long, long stretch. This one has only been, but 2012 was the last time the team won. So I think like you do, PK, I think they'll beat Duquesne. I think it'll be a good game. I think Duquesne's well coached. They got a lot to play for. But I think BYU offensively is just too much for them. And then it gets really fun because you go from everybody thinking you should win to your chance to go out there and really make some hay as a 6 seed beating the 3 and getting to the Sweet 16. And I think it's set up pretty nicely for them. So fingers are crossed. I'm hoping they have a great week. They deserve it. And I think this team has done what's really difficult. They broke through a lot of barriers. They broke through a lot of what people thought of them to actually go out and make something good happen.
I think Duquesne's like 2-10 in the last 12 games when they've given up 70 points. And BYU's got a lot of firepower and ought to be able to get to 70 points, and that's pretty much a winning number against Duquesne. So I'm going to pencil them in my bracket to win that first game, and then get to the second game. And I don't know anything about Illinois. Watching Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies, there isn't that much time, and that goes to a few high-profile NBA games or it goes to a few high-profile Big 12, Pac-12, Mountain West games. And that's pretty much all the time I got. What do you know about them? What are the odds if BYU gets the first one, then get to the second one and get to the Sweet 16?
Well, they're really well coached. Brad Underwood's the coach there, and he had a great run in Texas as a coach coming up. He got this job at Illinois, and he does a great job. I mean, he's recruited a national team. They got a really great scorer, a former Texas Tech Red Raider, Terrence Shannon, who really kind of put the team on his back in Big Ten tournament. They were able to win that thing, so they're going on great momentum. I think the one thing is that I look at with them is they don't guard great, and I think that BYU has shown the ability to really make people work defensively and break them down. When you have a passer like Ali Khalifa and then shooters the way BYU has to spread the floor, they can beat anybody on a given night. Now the caveat is, are those threes going in? Because I think that's watching BYU this year. That's really they don't live and die by the three. But I would say that they get most of their meals from three. And so it's important for them to get that. They still have an inside punch in Foose, who can really, at times get you a lot of baskets down low. But I think it's a good matchup because it's a team that likes to score. They're not going to hold the ball. And I think BYU, if they can run their stuff and make shots, I think they can have some success.
Let's go to the Aggies. Texas, Christian, TCU. They scare me. They're obviously in the Big 12. They played a great schedule. They're playing top teams literally every week, obviously. Even in the non-conference, they had an excellent schedule there. I think if the Aggies play their game, they got a chance. But and maybe it's just typical of an 8 and 9, is in my mind, I think it can go either way.
I do too. Jamie Dixon, coach at TCU. TCU's got a lot of really big dudes. They can really clog the lane up. Utah State wants to score with great, and they want to throw the ball in there, but it's also a weapon to have somebody that you need to have two people guard, and great is that. And so really it's going to be, can Utah State get some traction on the offensive side? I think they guard well, and they rebound well, so I think that bodes well for them. The 8-9 is always just one of those coin flip type games. But I like the way the Aggies have played this year, and I think that there is a level of trust and understanding. It's really going to come down to can they execute their stuff? Can they did not play great against San Diego State in the tournament, and I think that is one of the concerns. TCU is a little, built a little like them. They have big guys. They want to knock you around. So they got a good opportunity to kind of practice against the team they're going to see. They've got to execute better. They've got to maintain their scheme better. I thought they kind of broke down in the second half against San Diego State. And then, as always, they got to be able to make enough shots to keep TCU honest, to be able to kind of play that inside-outside game. I have a funny memory when I was working for Rick Majerus at Utah as a manager. Oftentimes one of our jobs was to take his car to the airport and go get guests who were coming in to see him or see the team. I gave rides to Al McGuire, one year. But one particular time he told me that two coaches from Northern Arizona were going to come out. And I went and picked them up, and it was Ben Howland and his assistant, a young Jamie Dixon. And so it's just kind of funny to think back that far of all of us driving in that car. And Jamie's gone on to have this incredible career at Pittsburgh and now TCU. But it's just funny. The basketball world continues to circle. And here Jamie Dixon is playing against Utah State.
We'll leave it right there, Tim. We appreciate it, as always. Thanks for all the NCAA tournament knowledge.
Heck yeah. I will see. You going to be at the Jazz game tonight, DJ?
It's a road game, so.
Oh, it's a road game. You're not going to be there.
I'm not going to.
Why would you be there? Are you going to be at the NCAA practices today, DJ?
I might make some later in the day. I'm booked early in the day. So.
Okay. Holler at me if you're going to head over there.
Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Tim LaComb, Jazz radio studio analyst, and it's the Jazz and the Thunder tonight. 5 o'clock for the pregame, tip-off at 6 o'clock right here on The Zone. Tristan Freeman, side expert for Bustin' Brackets and Field of 68, joins us coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on how far the Aggies and the Cougars might be able to progress in the tournament. We will get to that. The question of the day for Jazz fans, inspired by the Thunder game tonight. We'll get to your reaction next. The Jazz, how long before they're where the Thunder are? Thunder, year 4 of the rebuild, looking awesome. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.